Welcome to One Point Perspective, Part 1 Basic Forms. In this tutorial, I will teach you about one-point perspective, including how to set up your paper and draw basic forms such as a cube or cylinder. Before we get started with our drawing, we're going to chat very briefly about what perspective is. So what is perspective? Perspective is used to create an illusion of space and depth on paper. You'll notice in this example, all of the green diagonal lines are pointing to the same point. That's because in this drawing, it is using one point perspective, which means it only has one vanishing point. Now with perspective, in addition to 1 point, you could have 2 points, 3 points, and really as many points as you wanted to. But for this demonstration, we're just going to focus on 1 point perspective. So like this example drawing, I'm going to show you how to create a horizon line, one vanishing point, and then forms that are going to be going back in space towards the vanishing point. So let's go ahead and get started. You should have a blank piece of paper in front of you along with a pencil, eraser, and ruler. The first step is you're going to draw a horizontal line across the center of your paper using a ruler. Alright, so now I have a horizontal horizon line going across my paper. Now, what is the horizon line exactly? Imagine it this way, is that above the horizon line is like your sky, okay? And then below your horizon line is the ground. And the horizon line is where the two meet. So on your horizon line, anywhere on it is where your one vanishing point can go. I typically like to put mine in the center, which is what I'm going to do in this case. But you can feel free to put it anywhere on this horizon line that you want to. If you want to follow along with me, you can go ahead and put yours in the center as well. So make sure you actually draw a point on there. I'm drawing mine a little bit darker, a little bit bigger on here so you can see it. Yours can be a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter. That's fine. If you'd like to label it, you can certainly label it VP for vanishing point, but you don't need to. But sometimes that can be a helpful reminder. So now that you have a horizon line and a vanishing point, we can go ahead and put in a form. So the first form I'm going to show you how to do is just a basic cube or box. So to start, we're going to draw what's called the face. So to do that, I'm going to work below my horizon line to the left, and then we're going to kind of work up too, so you can see what that will look like. But to start, I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to draw a square. And it's okay if it comes out as more of a rectangle as well. That's okay. So I'm going to go ahead, put this in here, trying to draw dark enough so that you can see it clearly on the video, but you can go ahead and draw a little bit lighter. Alright, so now what I have is just a simple square. And again, if you drew a rectangle, that's perfectly fine. You just want to make sure that you're using your ruler so you have nice straight lines. That's key here. So now what we're going to do is we need to bring back some points on this square back to our vanishing point. So we're going to be working with this point, and this point. We're not going to need to work with this point because we actually won't see it, and that's going to make sense in just a minute. So to start, I'm going to go ahead and work with this point. I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to line it up to my vanishing point and my square, and I'm going to go ahead and draw this line in there. Now you're going to want to draw your lines nice and light because we will do some erasing. I'm drawing a bit darker, so again it's showing up on this video for you. Then I'm going to repeat that same process with the other two corners, lining my ruler up and drawing that line. So now I've got two corners done, and I have those lines going back to my vanishing point. Now I need to repeat that process with this side over here. So again, I'm going to line my ruler up, line it up to the corner of my square, and I'm going to draw that line in there. Alright, so there we have our square with our lines going back to our vanishing point. Notice how all three of them are going back. And now we can turn this into a cube. So to make it into a cube, we want pretty even sides to make it look like a cube. So we're going to have to draw a couple lines to do what I call trimming it up. So when I refer to trimming it up, that's the process I'm talking about that we're about to do here. So we need to make a line from this line back here that's parallel, okay? So I'm going to take my ruler and line it up. It's going to be completely horizontal here, which means it's parallel to this line. And I'm going to draw a line right in here. All right? So this is one step. Our second step is from this corner here, I need to bring a line straight down. It's a straight vertical line that's parallel to this vertical line. So to do so, I'm going to take my ruler and line it up at this point. Make sure it's straight down. I often see students bringing this at an angle, but it's not an angle. It's going to be straight down, a vertical line. So use your ruler, line that up, and draw a vertical line. So now all I need to do to finish this up is simply erase my lines going back to the vanishing point. And then I'm going to be left with a cube. All right, and again, my lines, since I drew them a little bit darker, might not erase very well, but that's okay. You can still get the idea. Don't be afraid to draw light on yours so that you don't have issues with erasing. All right, so now I've got my cube. Notice this cube is quite a bit below my horizon line, which means I can see the top of it. So if we put a cube above the horizon line, you're going to see the bottom of it. So let's go ahead and try that. So I'm going to slide my paper down a little bit. I'm going to work on my upper left side. Let's do the same process again, and we're going to put another cube up here. So I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to start by drawing the face of my cube. I'm using my ruler. I'm not specifically doing any measurements right now. I'm just kind of eyeing it. So feel free to measure if you prefer to, but for the sake of practicing, just eyeing it tends to go a little bit quicker. So as long as you're using a ruler, that's fine. So mine turned out a little bit more like a rectangle this time, which is fine. It wouldn't be a perfect cube then, but I could call it a box, okay? So I'm going to repeat the process where I'm going to bring this corner, and this corner back to my vanishing point. This corner I don't need to worry about because I'm not even going to see it. So to repeat that process we did with our first cube, I'm going to line up my ruler, bring it down to my vanishing point, and I'm going to go ahead and do that with all 3 of those sides. Again, make sure you're taking the time to line up your vanishing point to your edge and using that ruler because it makes a big difference. Perspective is very precise and a technical way to draw, so you want to make sure it's accurate. All right, so now I've got these lines going back to my vanishing point, so now I can do the part where I trim it up. So maybe this one I want to be a little bit longer than my last one. Okay, so I'm going to trim it up a little bit longer, and this is going to appear that the box is longer going back in space. So notice I just made that horizontal line right through here, and then I'm going to come up here and make a vertical line. All right, again, I've got 2 vertical lines that are parallel and 2 horizontal lines that are parallel. Make sure you don't have an angle. You want to make sure it's straight up and down or straight across, okay? Then to finish this out, all I need to do is erase these lines. All right, so now I've got a box above my horizon line and one below my horizon line. So notice I'm seeing the one below, I'm seeing the top of the box, and the one that's above, I see the bottom. So what would happen if I put one directly over my horizon line? Let's find out. So I'm going to bring my ruler up, and I'm going to draw the top of my form above my horizon line, like this. Then I'm going to bring my ruler down and draw the bottom of the form below my horizon line. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect those 2. Got a little bit of erasing to do. So I'm going to erase these lines. And notice I do have my horizon line going through the face of my rectangle here, so I'm going to just go ahead and erase that. All right, so this is where it's a little bit different than working with directly above the horizon line or directly below the horizon line. The difference is I'm going to be bringing this line back to my vanishing point, and I'm going to be bringing this line back to my vanishing point. Let me go ahead and show you that process a minute. Feel free to follow along or just watch for a second. So I'm going to bring that line back to the vanishing point there, and then on this side, bring it back to the vanishing point through here. All right, and you're actually not going to see either of these points go back to the vanishing point because we're working directly on the horizon line. And just so you know, the horizon line means you're working at eye level. It's directly where your eye sees it. Whereas when you're working above, you have to look up at it, or if you're working below, you look down at it. So just know that that's the difference. And to finish this one up, I'm simply going to draw a line, a parallel vertical line, and then just do a little bit of erasing here. So by now we've got 3 forms, 3 boxes. You should have one above the horizon line, one at the horizon line, and one below the horizon line.